The apocalypse did not begin with explosions. There was no fire, no screams, no sirens. It began with a whisper. That morning, the planet looked the same. The sun crossed the sky with its usual light. Cars moved along the avenues. Children ran through schoolyards. It was just another ordinary day until the sound disappeared. It wasn't gradual. There was no warning. It just stopped, as if someone had switched the world off. In the first instant, no one understood. People looked around, confused, trying to identify what was missing. The noise of footsteps, the murmur of conversations, the sound of their own heart. Nothing. The entire planet, all at once, went mute. They tried to speak. They opened their mouths, screamed, called, cried. But the air did not vibrate. Humanity had lost its frequency. In minutes, the panic began. Drivers crashed their cars, trying to honk. Mothers ran after their children, unable to call them. People knelt in the streets, pressing their ears as if they could tear the silence out by force. But the emptiness did not yield. The silence had weight, density. It vibrated inside the mind, making the world feel suspended in time. Governments tried to act. Visual messages replaced speech. Flashing siren lights blinked in the cities. Drones flew over neighborhoods, displaying orders on red screens. But without sound, control fell apart. Chaos was inevitable. And as days went by, the most terrible realization came. It wasn't just the human voice that had disappeared. Animals were mute as well. No bird song, no barking, not even the roar from the ocean, not the thunder. Even the rain fell in silence. It was as if the world had forgotten how to sound. Scientists gathered, trying to understand the phenomenon. But their mouths moved in despair. Hands trembled over whiteboards, and no theory made sense. There was no data because there was no sound. The measuring equipment captured the same pattern, a straight line. No frequency, no vibration, nothing but an absolute void. Some started to believe that the silence was alive, that it spread like an invisible infection, a bodiless virus, feeding on the very noise of civilization. Others said it was punishment, that the planet, tired of our voice, had decided to silence us. Without sound, the world lost its logic. The economy collapsed, communication ceased, religions fell quiet. Time became a strange thing. Without the ticking of clocks, without the noise of the wind, the hours blended into one another. Days, nights, seasons, everything blurred together. Some began to go insane. They claimed to hear echoes, murmurs, voices coming from the walls. Others, more skeptical, believed that the human brain simply could not exist without sound, and created ghosts to fill the void. And then the listeners appeared. People who swore they could pick up noises no one else heard. They walked through the empty streets with their eyes closed, following something they said they could feel in the air. A faint vibration, like the breath of an ancient note. They believed that sound still existed, trapped somewhere, that it was only a matter of finding it. The survivors began to follow them. They made maps, drew symbols, communicated with lights blinking in the night. The silent world came to have a new religion,
the search for the lost sound.
Months passed. The cities became ruins covered in dust. The signs stayed lit, but no one saw them anymore. The world was a soundless model. And then, on a moonless dawn, someone heard something. A crack. A brief metallic noise like a wire snapping. And right after, an unmistakable sound. A whisper. The first sound in months. People looked to the sky, to the windows, to themselves. The whisper grew, spread through the empty streets, through forests, through deserts. It was as if the silence itself were speaking, but no one understood what it said. Some fell to their knees, others ran, others cried without tears. And then, as quickly as it came, the sound disappeared again. After that, the world was changed forever. The few who still remained began to live isolated, like shadows wandering across a suspended earth. Without noise, loneliness became absolute. Some began to communicate with knocks, hands against walls, stones against metal. It was the closest one could get to a voice. But there was a risk. With every attempt to produce sound, the whisper returned, stronger, closer. It was as if something were listening. Over time, legends were born. They said the silence was a being, an ancient organism that had always lived in the gaps between sounds, and that, finally tired of being interrupted, it had decided to rule the world. Today, no one knows what is real anymore, whether sound truly existed or if it was only a collective dream. The old books speak of voices, of music, of laughter, but for those born after the silence, all that sounds like fantasy.
Still, there are those who search. They say there is a place where sound never died. A valley hidden under layers of fog, where the wind still whispers and the water sings in invisible rivers. Some set out in search of it. Few return. And those who do carry in their eyes the reflection of fear, as if they had heard something they were not meant to. Maybe the apocalypse was not the end. Maybe it was only the beginning of something new. A world where silence reigns absolute and sound has become a forbidden legend. But sometimes, when the wind blows over the ruins, it seems the planet still breathes. A faint murmur, almost imperceptible, travels between buildings and mountains, and those who hear it know what it says. The apocalypse was not an explosion. It was a whisper. And maybe it is still speaking.